It really has been a great week, as Ann Coulter points out, and I actually went back a little farther. I went back to Brexit on Friday, and then we had the Iowa meltdown that you point out in the column that the Democrats claim to be able to predict the temperature of the earth 100 years from now, and they can't figure out how to count votes in Iowa. And then you have the acquittal of the president today. And I know that he was one of your favorites, Mitt Romney, who decided to change sides for one, but not both of the votes. Is that kind of like King Solomon cutting the baby in half, or what?
Not exactly. I think it was too embarrassing even for Romney. I mean, the true partisanship. And, oh, by the way, excuse me, need to turn down my TV because I'm hearing 24 hours of how courageous Mitt Romney is, replaying the speech, the consequences he'll face. They don't even grasp the irony of every TV network, every newspaper going on and on about his courage. Chris Matthews was just talking, said, this is what John F. Kennedy's Profiles in Courage was about. Oh. So apparently what Mitt Romney is risking, and that he needs all this courage to face, is the risk of being called courageous for the rest of his life. But I mean, the true partisanship here is they're trying to say, well, you see, we got one Republican. Mitt Romney is the new John McCain. Congratulations. There's always one. I'm surprised there aren't more, with all of the rewards awaiting any Republican who does whatever the Democrats and the left want him to do. But the second article of impeachment for obstruction of Congress. No, I'm sorry. That's insane. That's our constitutional system. And, let's flash back to Eric Coulter, Obama's Attorney General, who was held in criminal contempt by the House, with lots of Democrats voting for that contempt motion, I might add. Not just one Mitt Romney, not that there are any Mitt Romneys on their side. We don't have too many rewards to offer their turncoats. They got a lot of rewards. But Democrats voted for that criminal contempt. As you may recall, Eric Coulter was refusing to produce documents about the Fast and Furious, that operation where the Obama administration was funneling guns to drug cartels in Mexico, allegedly to trace them, though they didn't have any tracing devices on them, and in fact, in order to make the argument that, oh my gosh, the cartels are getting their guns from America. We have to ban guns here in America. An American border agent, Brian Terry, was murdered, got killed by one of these guns that Eric Holder had sent to Mexico. He wouldn't produce documents. But what? Trump saying something snippy about this ridiculous impeachment? Oh, it's obstruction of Congress. The fact that every single Democrat voted for that completely ridiculous article of impeachment, no, that's partisan. That's ridiculous. Mitt Romney has really made a fool of himself. He is 100% the new John McCain. And what I always maybe hate is too strong a word. Let me say, what I always loathed and detested about John McCain wasn't that he was voting in ways I thought were dumb to vote, or saying things that I thought were dumb to say. It was that he was doing it in order to be called courageous. It was so obvious. Oh, the one Republican the media loves, John McCain. It's just, as I tweeted today, look, go ahead, be cowardly Republicans, kowtow to the New York Times, but please do not have the effrontery of asking me to sit back in awe of your courage.
The other thing you spent a lot of time in the column, and I think it was important, was a criticism of the media that, frankly, a really good inward-looking media would have done to itself. How often are we wrong? Because listen, as a reporter, I used to do stories all the time. Oh, this state agency or that federal agency, they didn't pay attention to the rules, or they did some stuff that was wrong that they could have foreseen. Well, when the media runs out stories like the ones you talk about, where you say, well, that Muslim ban, so-called, is unconstitutional. No, it turns out it is constitutional. And you say, if the media could actually look at itself and say, gosh, we've made all these statements about the president. How often were we right? Oh, it turns out we were wrong more often than not. Well, maybe we should tell our audience that just in full transparency. They would fault any government agency that knew it had screwed up and then refused to be transparent, and yet the media that is supposed to be the biggest finder of non-transparency won't be transparent about itself.
Yes. Well, yes, the media is no longer, I mean, who knows if it ever was, but it is not, their objective is not to gather and report news. It's really just to sit around giggling, making, announcing their dream journals on air. And Brett Kavanaugh, the Muslim ban, how the stock market was going to crash and never come back if Trump was elected president. I mean, these are just a few that I looked up last night, mostly just flipping through Nexus during the State of the Union address. But no, there's never any punishment. It's one other thing. People can get things wrong. Sure, you make guesses about what's going to happen. This is how I see it happening. What's so enraging about liberals, and especially liberals on TV and in newspapers, is how absolutely arrogant they are. I mean, those quotes about Trump's Muslim ban, the snippiness of, well, because it's unconstitutional, maybe if you had a lawyer to advise you, you fired Sally Yates because she told you it was unconstitutional, and it is. Oh, the snippiness and arrogance, which just builds because, as you say, there's never a consequence to being wrong over and over and over again.
And they become almost comical. I don't know if you caught it when they literally had a screen grab on CNN where they had a whole panel talking about the president, without any factual backup, says that Michael Bloomberg wants to stand on a box during the debate so he doesn't look like it. And I thought, you're actually having a panel debate on this? I don't know whether the president had actually heard something. It wouldn't surprise me. In TV, you've been in plenty of TV studios. There are anchors and other folks who stand on boxes because they're not very tall. And so do you think that Mayor Bloomberg might say, if I'm going to show up with all these people that are a foot taller than me, I want to stand on a box? But to have a panel discussion about, has the president lied to us again about prop boxes for TV studios? My goodness, it's a big issue.
Well, I liked it because it got it out there. I mean, who cares if it's true or not? It's funny. I believe I kept accusing Rubio of requesting a box when he was running. It's hilarious. It reminds people that Bloomberg is 3 feet tall. In that case, their earnestness and outrage meter happened to work in our favor.
No, but this is, and what I wonder, and the latest developments I've been hearing about, apparently a couple of senators have now sent a letter off to the Secret Service, who once provided protection for a young guy named Hunter Biden, and they said, we want all of his travel records so we know where he was and when he was during this whole Ukraine thing. I think the Democrats may regret the fact that they've opened up this issue, or, it was out there all the time. A lot of us had talked about it from time to time, but it wasn't a big deal until they launched the impeachment based on looking at Ukraine. Well, now that we're looking at Ukraine, let's look at the Democrats that are tied to Ukraine as well. It'll play really well if Biden ever makes it to the nomination.
Which is looking increasingly unlikely.
Exactly. Even with the help of meltdowns in Iowa and senators tied up on impeachment trials, he couldn't pull it off, could he?
No, and I mean, I think part of that is because of the whole Ukraine mess. I mean, people, boy, we didn't, as you say, a few of us brought it up, few talk radio hosts, but wasn't really a big issue until they brought it up. As I recommended to the GOP on Twitter yesterday, now the key is going to be convincing voters that Hunter is Bernie Sanders' son, because it didn't play very well.
Well,
but I also think, I mean, if this Iowa thing is not a one-off, I mean, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, come on, this was such a disaster. Just throw out the results and start over." But I think it's really just counting that seems to be the problem. Sanders and Buttigieg winning suggests to me that you have sort of a populist anti-Washington sentiment sweeping not only the rest of the world, the 2016 presidential election, but perhaps finally has hit the Democratic Party.
God bless him. You got the Lars Larson Show.
The Lars Larson Show.